What? What? Okay. I got no explanation for that, but alright, here we go. Time for Alone and Incomplete. Well, chat, that kind of threw me off. We got Mr. Dungeon music. So yeah, I'm back. How you doing? It's been... It won't hurt anymore. What the fuck? Until we die. Just you and I. What the hell is this? What the fuck? The walls are talking to me. No, I'm back. I was gone for a couple days. Let me tell you, the weather did not cooperate for most of that. We left on Sunday. It was rainy. Oh shit. It was rainy and cloudy the whole day. The next day it was nice. And then the day after that it was way too hot. And then when nighttime rolled around, it was cloudy. And then it was pouring rain for like 20 minutes. So, not what I call the greatest schedule. But it wasn't too bad. I enjoyed the time off. I didn't do as much with my sketchbook as I intended to. But I did do some things with it. I posted them in the user art. Oh my. Oh my. But I spent most of my time with it just trying to kind of like getting used to using traditional. And let me tell you something. Here's what I've learned about traditional. Here's what I learned about traditional. Heads, you get one try. You get one try, and if it's not right, by the end of the image, tough titty. Tough fucking titty. That was my... okay. That was my experience. A lot of erasing. I miss my undo key. I did very much miss my undo key. Oh, man. I miss my undo key. I miss my layers. I love how much smudged graphite I managed to get on the entire page, to the point where the final image is done. It's like there's smudge to it. One part I actually did really like about traditional is the pen, or the pencil, I guess, the mechanical pencil, is that lining, so to speak, just kind of giving a tougher lining to the border, kind of makes it pop nicely. So it actually turned out pretty good, the ones that I did. They felt kind of off, but again, you don't get a lot of quick, convenient fixes. Obviously, there's no coloring. Hatching is pretty nice. Hatching on paper feels a lot nicer than hatching on a tablet, that's for sure. Serena Beach. Well, here we go. There are ghosts in my living room. So the first day we went there, chat, we ended up playing Mario Party 1. And we did in fact play, we rolled the game. We rolled the game that requires you to spin the stick. And I skinned my palm. So that was cool. I had no blood. Are those speed boosters? Oh, they're hazards. They're speed boosters. I skinned the palm on my hand. Didn't bleed. Only broke the first layer of skin, mind you. But yeah, that was something that I did. It's funny because all three of those games showed up. Tug of War, Pedal Power, and Paddle Battle. Andrew had to play Paddle Power. Paddle Battle was like the last mini game we played, and I was the 1v3, and I was like, bro, I just don't make me do this. Oh my god. Oh, Mario Party 1. So yeah, I did that. Later on, played a lot of Puzzle League, some Mario Golf. I played Miku with Andrew. Oh yeah, I forgot the power went out too. On the day we went there, someone crashed into like a power line down the road, because of course they did, and knocked power up for like a couple hours. So we ended up driving to Popeye's Chicken. And we pulled up to Popeye's Chicken. And we ordered 3 crispy originals and some Mexi nuggets. And the order took a while. But then, when they gave us the order, they had given us an extra burger. So I got to eat an extra burger the next day for lunch. And that was pretty cool. And when we got back, power was back on, which was pretty cool. I'm not gonna be able to finish before he beats me. Woo! Close. I got sore. I also sunburned. I bought sunscreen, but I missed a few spots. But yeah, the third day we were there, it was just way too fucking hot to do anything. And then when the sun started to go down, it just got cloudy and like wet. Well, we didn't need to fall for that long. I also played Gunstar Heroes with Andrew. Do you know that game? Let me tell you something about that game. It's fun. Well, that was a sharp turn. That game is fun until it isn't. And trust me, when it stops being fun, you'll know. The first couple levels were fine. Okay, they were fine. Then we got to the board game level, and we died. So we had to redo the entire fucking board game. We literally saw every tile, in case you were wondering. Every single tile, we saw all of them. And then we got to the 5th level, that was just run through all these enemies constantly. Also, getting it to work took forever, and ultimately I had to use the GameCube's D-pad to play the game. So that's what I was doing, using the GameCube D-pad. And the last level, the second last level of the game, there's no checkpoint. There's no checkpoint, right? So you just run to the end of the section, you fight a mini-boss, and you do that 4 times. Then you have to fight a boss at the end. Smash Daisaku, or whatever the fuck his name is. If you die at any point, you redo the whole stage. We did that like 2 or 3 times. You know why? Because the last section, the last fucking section of that track, or of that stage, has these walker robots that if you hit them, they do 20 damage. And I had the laser sword upgrade. And every time I killed them, their death animation kicked their fucking legs back, and I would just get hit. I would get hit no matter what, because every time they die, they would like just kick their fucking legs back and put their legs up to where I was standing, and then I'd just be dead. Just like that. So then we got to the final level, which was a boss rush, which also doesn't have a checkpoint until the very last bit, which if it didn't, we wouldn't have beaten the game, just in case you were wondering that. That level, we learned 2 things over the course of that level. One is that certain bosses get ripped to shreds by melee attacks. And 2 is that throwing your buddy can also do a bunch of damage. But throwing your buddy is really annoying because it happens when you press the shoot button. And if you've ever played Gunstar Heroes, you know that your finger is pretty much always shooting. So if you shoot near your buddy, you just throw him. So that's what happened a lot. But yeah, some of the melee options do a ridiculous amount of damage. We kept getting fucked up by the buff guy. And then we figured out how to kind of cheese him. And then we got to the final boss. And thankfully there's a checkpoint in the final boss. So we just, you know, just got our HP all the way back and we were good. Botania. I don't know what Botania is. But yeah, game was cool, but those last 2 levels, Those last 2 levels were not great. The game is made by Treasure. And it's funny because there's the mechanic in Gunstar Heroes where you grab and throw shit. I was like, this is very much like Mischief Makers. And when you know it, that's exactly what it was. Because Treasure made Mischief Makers afterwards. And that throw mechanic, that throw feeling, hell, the second last stage is literally just like Clancer Wars 4. The stage in Mischief Makers. So Gunstar Heroes had some influence on that one. You can't shake things, but you can throw in omnidirectional throwing, and there's a fuck ton of damage. Overall, it was fun. We also tried to get a Kirby Air Ride mod working, and it didn't. It didn't work. Why? I don't know, actually. Because every time Andrew tried to patch it, it said bad game ID. So it just refused to patch, and I don't know what that means. I can assume I know what that means, but the unfortunate bit is that no matter what we tried to rectify that bad game ID, it didn't work. So, yeah. Yeah, it didn't work. Kind of a shame. Maybe we need to get this shit set up ahead of time. Sleeping on the couch that you're too long for. A memory foam pillow with absolutely no idea what the word cool means. Man, I certainly have my work cut out for me. But you know what, chat? It was fine. I got home yesterday, and I got to writing. Like I wrote... Oh, whoops. I wrote Reimu, I wrote Marissa, I wrote Sakuya, and I wrote Alice sections. So I got a lot done in that. And I also started another little side project that I had an idea for while I was away. And I'm working on that right now. In fact, that's what I did pretty much all of today and most of yesterday. I haven't actually done any art in the last 2 or 3 days because of it. But that's fine. Because now we're back to whatever the hell it is I'm at. Chat, does anyone remember what one I was at? Okay. Does anybody remember which one I was at? So he hit me with a green shell, and I missed him with a red shell. Roger that. Yeah, despite skinning my hand, it's actually fine. Didn't draw blood. I didn't draw blood, so I'm okay. Okay, well that was my bad. Not my greatest. Not my greatest play. I really had to win that game. The worst part is I didn't even win it. I didn't win it. Can you believe it? I damaged my hand and I didn't even win the coins. As soon as I did it, I was like, why did I do that? Wow. Really fucked that one up, didn't I? Thank you for the reset, Michi. There you go. I goofed. I goofed. Gotta finish this rat ass shit. More Snai. Classic Drigstol. Magic Paintbrush, Wendy Raceway, Super Mario Sunshine Peanut Village, Forsaken Funfair, Darkness Temple. Also, my burn chat, there's still a mark on my arm. Wendy Raceway. There's still a mark on my arm, but it's now just like dead skin. There's no feeling to it at all. There's no feeling to it at all. So there's no issue there. I'm back to normal. I am back to normal. But not quite, because I have a couple other things. Oh! Well, see you later. This is it, Luigi. I pressed the button. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? I pressed it. I pressed it. I have things. I have things I want to do. Videos, art, stuff. And tomorrow, chat, I go back to work, and I will be handing in my resignation tomorrow. So there's like there's a level of how do I describe it? Oh, this is really bad off-road. Oh my. Oh my. Okay, you didn't need to do that, bro. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Okay. There's a level of annoyance to it. For sure. But there's also a level of excitement to be free from the horse shit that is the #1 source of my pain and sadness. So I'll be doing that tomorrow, and I'll still have to work 2 more weeks, but it'll be nice to be free in the moment, and I gotta make sure to use the time that I am freeing up to, you know, get shit done. I won't be employed after all. I'll be here. Good job. So yeah, I don't know, it's weird to talk about, because like I don't really know what it's like out there right now in terms of job market, and giving up stable employment is one thing, but it's also kind of like, you know, depressing, and I'm kind of getting tired of going to work and then coming home and being like, wow, okay, I don't want to do anything. And then sometimes the day is so bad it carries into the following days, and then it's like my entire week just, I feel like shit because I don't get anything done because that doesn't go well. Cry Me a River streamer, I know, but it does kind of blow. So I'd like to be free. You know that image of the guy who's like breaking his shackles? The guy who's breaking his shackles, he's free. He's finally free. I would like to be free. I want to make a structure. I need to stick to it, but I have some video ideas to work on. I want to do art. Like I got things that I want to like take a crack at, and it'd be nice to be free to do it, you know? So I'm just kind of thinking partially long-term like that. But who knows how anything is going to go down. Summertime really sucks because it gets so hot that it's kind of motivation sapping. Whoa. Okay. It's come on motivation sapping sometimes when it gets really fucking hot. And it's just like, wow, I don't want to do anything because this, wow, the off-road on this vehicle is not good. Shocker, isn't it? But that's those are my future plans. It's easy to talk about it, but until I actually do it, none of what I say actually has any merit. Or matter, for that matter. Whoa. I just flew over the ramp. Okay. Well. And here we are. Here we are. La-di-da. La-di-do. La-di-da. So this is what it means to suffer. To experience pain. Only I know true pain. Whoa. Whoa. to test my ability. That wasn't fake. Wow. I passed one guy. Alright. Wah. 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 Forsaken Fun Fair. Overall, I had a good time being outside of the house. I agree. It's nice to be back, get some work done, but it is also good to take a couple days to not do any work. Just play video games. Get some sunlight. Not as much, but some. It's just, you know. That's life, baby. Got summer anime. Also, for some reason, I don't really know why, but I have been having a lot more headaches recently. And they're really annoying. Like, usually it's when I have to go to bed. Just I get a headache. And it's like, well, fuck, I should probably take a Tylenol for this. But then if I just take a Tylenol every goddamn night, then that's also not good. But then I also can't stand having a headache because I don't do anything with a headache. I simply sit there and rot with a headache. Well, I don't know what to do about it. I drink plenty of water. The heat doesn't help, but again, most of my headaches come on when the sun is down. Like, so there's no sun anymore. It's hot right now. I can feel my fan on me, but I also feel it blowing more or less hot air than anything. So this is the period of the day that's the worst, is between like 2 to 7. Because between 2 to 7, the sun is just there. And there are some days where the sun does go down and the temperature doesn't actually drop. I don't like those days very much. Oh. There goes a red. It's like almost every day. Yesterday was just headache like all day. A little bit of nausea as well. I still ate and everything, but like I got home yesterday at a good time and I was like, I could stream today. But to be honest with you, A, I was working on other things and I was like, okay, I'm making good progress on this, and B, I kind of just felt not that great. And I was like, alright, fuck it. I said I'd be back Thursday, I'll come back Thursday. No reason to put in the extra hassle to be like, actually, I'm streaming today. No. But yeah, I'm working on something on the side while I'm also working on the, fighting game one. And by the time that actually enters, like, you know, actual editing, I will be unemployed. So, I'll have time for that, hopefully. But I just gotta go work tomorrow. There you go. Art as well. It's nice because I can still kind of make time for other things, and I can do the art at the end of the stream here, which is good because I can spend some time doing that. Couple things I'm looking for. I have Spell Carnival right now, which I'll hit eventually. I have the Labyrinth of Touhou 3 demo that I will get back to. Okami at some point. In about a week, the Sanai Still Feed Breeze will be out. So we have that. Apparently, Hero of Ice Fairy is receiving some news. Probably going to announce the second DLC. But that won't be out for a while, most likely, so I don't need to worry too much about that. Chaos Emerald. Anything else? Not that I can think of. Nothing really happened while I was gone. Oh, nothing that... Okay, I wouldn't say nothing happened, but nothing that really involves me or what I'm playing happened. So, like, you know, nothing really Touhou-y. Nothing like that. But that's fine. That's okay. Goodbye. I'm aware of, I'm aware of the layoffs. The cancellation of the totally was gonna be good Perfect Dark remake. I'm aware. Minariko farming game. I didn't see the trailer, but that has a date for August 22nd. Brother, that's the end of summer. Is this the music that plays at the end of SA2? I mean, it's definitely Sonic. Wait, no, this is just the temple level, but it's mixed in Sonic too. Only you can do this. Stop the Chaos Emeralds. There hasn't been any info on KK's one. But Mystia's, the Mystia animation should be ready soon, I think. Well, whatever. Yeah. That's fine. I don't know how long the Mystia or the Minariko farming game will take, but there's obviously quite a big, there's quite a lot of expectation on that game. There's quite a lot of expectation on that game considering the legacy it's living up to. But I feel like if the game's general design philosophy is kind of like Friends of Mineral Town, because it's going to be a Harvest Moon type game, right? I do feel like if Friends of Mineral Town, the one for Game Boy Advance, is probably your best bet for structure, because that one's a very good and weird, mind you, but good Harvest Moon type game. Maplewood Caverns, Melody Sanctum, SMS Bianco Hill, Ghost House. Ghost House. I hope they put out some demos or some early access stuff just so I can check it out. But we'll see. Stardew is another, yeah, well Stardew is based on, Stardew Valley is based on Harvest Moon. And Stardew Valley is very popular. So yeah, if it's based on Stardew, then that's probably even better. I never played Stardew, so I have no opinion on it personally. But Friends of Mineral Town is like, I call myself a Harvest Moon fan, but honestly, the only Harvest Moon games I really enjoyed that I played were Friends of Mineral Town and DS. And DS is basically an extension of Mineral Town. I don't doubt it'll be good, but I'm curious how exactly the devs they're gonna approach it. Because obviously there's gonna be a similar mechanic where you make friends with different characters in the series, right? There has to be something like that, and they can reuse characters. But I think there's a number of lesser characters that aren't as popular, or newer characters even, that they can use that are left on the table. Obviously, like, a lot of the really popular ones have already been used. But there are a couple of those characters that are in Mystia that you don't really actually get to have a relationship with. They're just kind of like there. Sakuya is a good example. Sakuya and Yomu are two very popular characters, but their roles in Mystia are kind of restrictive. They're not customers. They're more like set pieces. And then they join you as friends, like our workers, right? Ramilia is another character who's kind of there for a bit, but you don't really form a bond with her. So there are a couple characters that could be a little more exploration of character, a la Mystia, for Minariko. And also new characters. New meaning like characters not used, not like the entire cast of Touhou 18 and 19 showing up. Though the characters from those games can definitely make appearances. Even Touhou 20, considering that'll be out well before anything else is finalized for that game. This place is nice. The music is good too. I enjoy. So we'll see. The game is set in the same universe. The game is set in the same universe as Mystia. There's gonna be interactions with Mystia in the game as well. It's also kind of neat because, like, you think that, considering Minariko's status, that you would interact with her in some capacity, but she only shows up in Mystia in the form of, like, a talisman that shows up in the human village during that part. That's kind of it. That's kind of it. So, you can form a bond with Mystia. You provide ingredients for Mystia's little hut. I recognize this music. Pretty sure it's Shantae. So it'll probably be good. I'm curious about the one that's going to be early access for August. I want to check it out. But I will say I'm a little worried. I said cautiously optimistic, and the reason for that is mostly because Harvest Yuka is a game that I played, right? Harvest Yuka is a game that I played, and while I did enjoy it, the entirety of the game can be completed in 1 year. In fact, the game kind of expects you to do that. But, like, you can get everything done in one singular year because the amount of events that happen for characters kind of dries up after, like, 3 encounters. The flavor text dries up pretty fast. It feels like growing things is, like, completely pointless after a certain extent. And also, because of the nature of the game's endings, if you get an item to grow something special that only grows in a certain season, and that season's already passed, then, well, that's it for that. Oops. I didn't see the trailer. But yeah, I will check it out. I like the genre. I'll check it out. Long as it's good. I want the gameplay to be good. I want the characters, the character writing to be nice. And I really would prefer if I don't have to think about the real world at all. I know how that sounds, but, like, bro, I'm tired of playing video games. I don't even play video games that do this, but I'm tired of video games that have to date themselves with current world drama. Please, just take your cool fantasy world and stay in it. I don't need any allegories, comparisons. I don't need any of that. All right? Stardew-esque Valley game. I've never played Stardew Valley. I've never played Stardew Valley. Bianco Hills. Play it. Okay, yeah, let me just drop everything I'm doing and just start up a game that I can sink millions of hours into. Why would I play your baby game, huh? Huh? Welcome to Stardew Valley. Wouldn't you much rather me play the horse racing game? Bro, let me tell you something. That shit is so funny because that is air quality in Washington. Cool. I'm in Nova Scotia. Bro, Uma Musume has been out in Japan for like 2 or 3 years. It gets an English release, and now it's the most popular thing on the fucking internet right now. And this is just what you have to deal with for the next little while. There's people talking about this fucking Hort game. until it gets boring and new thing comes out. Oh, you want me to go this way? Okay. I don't have any interest in gacha games. I don't have a problem with Uma Musume. I've watched most of the animes. I enjoy them. But I just don't want to play a gacha game. No, streamer, it's very free to play. I don't care. I do not care. I really, really don't care. It's a gacha game. I don't care. I have no desire to play this game because it is not a game that I will be playing. It is a game I will be watching. It is a job that I will be expected to pay to be able to sit at my desk for. No thanks. Absolutely no thanks. I'm good. Unfortunately, gacha is the only way some people can feel anything anymore. The world sucks, so we drown our sorrows by putting our money in these things. Ouch. Ow. It's easier to divert your eyes to the truth and indulge in vice. The world sucks, but I don't have to look at it. I simply do not look. I pretend I do not see. And comes the day of my untimely demise, and I think, man, that was life well spent. Yeah. Holy doomer. That's okay, I'm just being Zun. Ha 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 ha. Ho 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 ho. Hee 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 hee. Woo! Just a little Zun moment from the streamer. That's all. No, nothing serious. Don't worry. Just being a little Zun moment. Ghost House. Ooh, this is cool. I don't want to play Lost Word. I played Lost Word stuff some time ago because I thought it was kind of, it actually was like, despite how much I didn't like the game, I thought it was neat how what they like did with character lore and some of the events. Problem is nowadays Lost Word is just okay. Here's a quote-unquote alternate world, aka we've created an entirely new character and we put on a Touhou skin suit, and we've also created an outfit for them that is the closest we can get to like Gooner interest without actually overstepping the boundary. And that is what it's been. That is what Lost Word has been for quite a while now. They no longer have characters to do. First it was characters, then it was renditions of characters from games, and now it's alternate universe characters. Over and over and over and over and over and over and over. No one even knows what's going on in the game anymore because it just keeps creating new alternate universes to create new alternate versions of characters. Whoa, that was weird. Some of those skins don't even look like the character they're supposed to be, which is just, that's kind of what leads me to believe that they don't care anymore. I don't think they've cared in a long time. They're just making up their own shit, but it gets to be a Touhou product. Also, the game is kind of interesting in that the portrait art of characters for literally every character in the game is all one guy. There's one fucking artist who does all of the art for everything except the story cards, where they get a guest artist for that. But it really is just one dude who does the art for every single character. Every single one of them. That's kind of impressive. His art style isn't bad, mind you. I don't think his art style is bad by any means, but that is genuinely impressive that it's just one guy. He just does all the art for all the characters. But yeah, now it's effectively, like I said, it's just, we create an entirely new personality, a new world, and then we call it a character you know. And the shameful thing, I think, is that some of them were cool ideas, and now I just don't care anymore, because like I said, they stopped being kind of cool, and now they're just about creating skins that show cleavage. creating boobs for characters who don't have boobs. But I thought the vampire one was cool. I thought the vampire hunter was a cool idea. An idea of a timeline where Sakuya is a vampire hunter who succeeds, kills Vermilia, and then Flandre sets out to kill her. That's a cool fucking idea. Did they actually do anything with it? I don't know. I don't know if they did anything with it, but I think that is a really cool what-if scenario. But that's not what Lost Sword does anymore. That's just not what it does anymore. So it's still around. It's obviously more popular in Japan, but there's something really depressing, I think. There's something a little bit depressing to me when Anthill and Apian Apartments, Yoshi Woodland, Sherbert Stadium, Underwater Rapture. When I was on Twitter before, a lot of the time, you know, Lost Word would do anything, and it's like, man, Lost Word is bad. People talk about how Lost Word is not good. And then as soon as a new outfit would come out, it would just be people chasing that sweet, sweet internet engagement, where they literally just post a picture of a new costume and go, holy shit, oh my god, awooga, look at that, Lost Word worth playing, look at this costume. And then immediately, like a week later, they'd be back to the same, man, Lost Word is so bad, am I right, boys? Like, and that was it. That was it, every time. It's like, Lost Word releases a costume that shows 45% of boobs, and it's like, maybe this game not so bad after all. And then after a couple days, it's just right back to the same old easy, low-hanging fruits. And it's just like, alright, bro. Alright. I'm telling you, man, social media is bad for your health. It's bad for your mental health. It's bad for your physical health. It's bad. It's just bad. I advise against. You have to earn those JPEGs. You don't even earn them. You buy them. There's nothing earned in spending a ridiculous sum of cash for a JPEG. If anything, there's definitely a period of spending where if you do finally get what you want, you feel even less inclined to enjoy it because you've spent too much on it. And I know this from experience. I know this from experience. I made that decision before and it was not a good one. It sucks. And other people can definitely relate to this feeling. I'm no, you know, let he who casts without sin cast the first stone. I am with sin. That's why I am throwing many rocks. But that's how it goes. Is you find your chase, you chase, and then you end up spending an egregious amount of money because you have no sense of self-control. And then when you finally get what you want, you've spent so much money that you can't even be happy about it. And then you wonder why you're like this. And then the process, unfortunately, repeats itself later down the line when you've finished patching up your own bruised ego. Because we are all really sad on the inside. We are all very sad and quite pathetic individuals. Man. This is the streamer projecting. Yes, actually, it is. The feelings I have towards myself when I play gacha games are less than positive, that's for sure. I consider myself a fucking idiot. I do. I am a twat. Engaged in twat behavior. Go fuck yourself, streamer. Okay, I will. I'm an ant in the garden. I'm an ant in the garden. None of social media is good. None of it. Why do you think I like just spending my time not talking? You ever really think about that? Probably don't, because why would you think about that? Why would you care what somebody else does with their own time? But social media involves more than just Twitter, you know. Why the fuck would I don't even like Discord. I've never liked Discord. I don't. Never have. I don't like any of it. I don't like any of it. I don't like using it. I have it because I need it for a certain degree of extent, but holy fuck, man. I don't like it. I don't even want to be a part of it most of the time. How am I supposed to be a content creator when I don't use anything? Well, that's the fun part. Actually, that is the fun part. Ever wonder why I'm not famous? Well, there are a multitude of reasons, but there you go. Some people spend more time on Discord than they do on Twitter, and then act like they're better than the people who use Twitter. Oh my. Oh my. It's the Reddit argument all over again. Your social media is bad. Mine good. Yep. Yep. My fast food crackhead is a lot nicer than your fast food crackhead. Ergo, I'm better than you. My brother in Christ. They're both crackheads. Why are we comparing crackheads? What the fuck? Okay, well that was weird. Oh, bullet, 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 bullet. That was so not worth it. Doink, but doink. I don't want to talk to any crackhead. I don't. Ultimate Crackhead Simulator. That is the second time that it's not hit me. I can't even really tell why. Oh, there are holes in the road and I can't see. Uh-oh. Okay, I think I hopped over it. I know this is Yoshi music, but I'm pretty sure it's from Mario Galaxy 2. I don't remember. Anyway, the track's pretty cool, but I just have a hard time, like, controlling where I need to go for most of it. Yeah. 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 There you go. Crackhead Johnson. He's my resident crackhead. I see him every Thursday. I say, hey, Johnson. He goes, got any crack? And I go, not today, Johnson. And then he proceeds to ignore me. I don't think he knows who I am, but I know who he is. That's old Crackhead Johnson. Now I just need a 3-chord riff on an acoustic guitar and I can make a song about this guy. Down by the old dump shack, where the Wendy's used to be. Well, here I am. I ain't ever seen a man such as he, that old Crackhead Johnson. Once fought a bear with nothing but his hands. That old Crackhead Johnson. Women, children, all the same for his demands. That old Crackhead Johnson. The only thing he cares for is crack. Hence the name, Crackhead Johnson. If we could, you wouldn't, that this town wouldn't be the same. Oh, I'm aware. When you're full of substance, you are a juggernaut. People who are like on drugs are kind of like, you know, they're kind of like juggernauts. They can simply go. It's honestly kind of scary, I imagine, dealing with that kind of situation where you know that someone who's clearly not in the right state of mind, but also very much capable of like a very abnormal amount of pain tolerance. Like, that seems kind of scary. It's Crackhead Johnson. He loves crack. You gotta be careful. Too many gacha games and you might find yourself being the new age crackhead Johnson. Chat, we're gonna reach a period in our time where the people who are out and homeless on the street aren't because they have an opioid addiction, it's because they have a gacha game addiction. So they all have their phones, and they go and they panhandle for their mobile data and their polls. So they are without home, but instead of spending their money on more drugs and alcohol, they spend it on their data plan and their gacha game. And that's our future, boys. I mean, we're still gonna have a lot of the drugs and whatnot. That's indisputable. That's gonna still be there. But my point is, we're gonna have some panhandlers who are like, spare some money for a 10 pull? Spare some money for a 1 pull? Here's a single draw. Make it count, bitch. In the year 2332, we'll be pulling for PNGs of drugs. We'll have found a way to take scratch and sniff technology to a point where you can taste, feel, and experience the image. So now, instead of actually needing real drug, you can simply get a picture of drug. And you can get the same feeling of the drug from just a picture. Oh my god, the future is scary. The future is not now, but it will be here when I'm dead. Oh, what a future it will be. Scratch and sniff technology will reach an unfathomable degree of what are the words? What are the words? I forgot the word. The important word. Me, when I look at a picture of a man jogging in place and be like, yep, I have now experienced exercise. That's not gonna happen. I don't think the future will ever reach a point where, like, everything can be done like that through artificial means. But there was WALL-E, you know? WALL-E was a movie where... I don't remember, actually. I never actually saw WALL-E properly. But, you know, like, the fat boys in the pods, right? I wonder if that movie was like a warning or something like that. This is crack. Crack cocaine. Not cool. I don't really get what I'm supposed to get on that, but whatever. Planet's dying, Cloud. The planet's dying. Yep. All over the world. I pretend I do not see. Is that a puffer fish or just a spiked ball? I can't really tell. Green lightning. This kind of sounds like Donkey Kong country music. And that puffer fish reminds me of the enemy from Jungle Beat, which is kind of a deep cut. That's kind of a deep cut. Maybe a little bit. How many of the world's problems will we even live long enough to see the consequences of our actions? I don't know. I don't know. Is that worrying? Yeah, I'd say so. Maybe a bit. But you know, that's not why we're here. We're not here to discuss the future of our planet. We're here to talk about video games and Touhou. I love Touhou. Did you know that Touhou is girl? She very strong. She go out and she shoot bullet and kaplow and kabam, and the day is saved. Or ruined, actually. I guess it depends on who you ask. Rainbow doesn't save the day. Sorry. Touhou, that's her name. Her name is Touhou. Full name. First name Tu, last name Hu. That fish is freaky, dude. Wow, that kind of helped getting my acceleration back up faster than if I missed, like, just got hit. Weird. Oh, okay, that was weird. His name is Touhou, don't you know, ho? Ho 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 ho. We gotta get back into that grind. We gotta get that Touhou content uploaded. Am I right, boys? Can I get a hee hee hoo hoo for the Touhou hoo hoo? Oh, glory days to the old resurgence of the Touhou. Oh, bo ba boo bam ba dum bam. Touhou will never be the same. It'll always be better. Or even worse. CNK, Jungle Boogie, Peach's Lovely Garden, Lakitu Long, Kingdom of Galvanic Discharge. Great name you got there. I don't know what NK is, but this is a crashed level, right? I think this is a crashed level? Alright. Kunk. No. Crash Nitro Kart. Oh, that's a game? That lines up. I never heard of that game, though. Ah! Chat, here's a question. Here's a question. When did Touhou peak? When, in your opinion, did Touhou reach its absolute peak? Well, that was a quick lap. I think for me, Touhou, like, peaked. I think for me, Touhou peaked around Touhou 14. Because at that point, that was kind of like the cutoff period for a lot of the really well-known games. But with a little leeway for other stuff. It's not like I don't like the stuff that comes after that. But, like, I got into the series when 16 was, like, new. And as I went through the series, like, I really enjoyed the early stuff because so many of the characters kept coming back. And I really got to form a connection with the early cast. 6, 7, and 8 have numerous appearances, and you really form a connection with those characters. And then the later characters they're not as big as them, but they're still pretty big. And then 13 and 14, mainly 14 is kind of when the character notoriety starts to decline a little bit more. And be more focused and just kind of like, this character released during this game and that's it. Most people would probably say 2009-ish, because 2009 is kind of considered the golden era of Touhou. 2009 had a lot of, you know, that's when Hiso Tensoku came out. UFO was out at this point. Like, this was the peak of Touhou's real performance. And like I said, a lot of these fan games that were coming out, a lot of the really, really good ones came out prior to 2010. So for a lot of them, the cast of characters was between Touhou 6 to 11, or some of them were with Touhou 12, but a lot of the really, really good fan games focused heavily on the earlier game characters. So again, if you like, you know, if you played the main stuff, you got the spin-off games and the main games, constant recurring characters, and then all the really good fan games you were probably told to play or looked up online and found involve these characters as well. So you just get so much time with them, and it's like, wow, these characters are great. I love these characters. And you see how they're represented in official media. You see how they're represented in fan media, and you grow an attachment to these characters. And then there came a point where we got further in the world. Making games became harder to do as a pastime hobby. So newer games with newer characters is harder to do because A, there's not as many people making games, and B, if you're gonna commit time to making a game, a fan game, you're gonna want to use characters that you know you like and you would consider recognizable to a majority of the audience. So you'll see a lot of these games, even in newer settings, forego using a bunch of new characters for various reasons. I don't really want to believe the reason is because is simply because they want the game to sell well. Obviously they do. I think they do want the game to sell well, but I also think it's because a lot of those earlier characters are so special to a lot of people that if you're going to go out of your way to make a game for the series, you'd want to include the characters that got you into the series in the first place, right? But I also do think that there is an aspect of recognizability for it because, like I said, we're not in a time frame anymore where you can just fucking decide you want to do something and then with your like part-time job salary being able to completely cover all of your living expense, you can actually spend time on hobbies and just like do stuff. But that doesn't happen anymore. That doesn't really happen anymore. Nowadays, you kind of have to go all in, or you don't make anything at all. Or it's just how it goes. Some of the shit that people were releasing over 10 years ago is incredibly well done and probably just made for fun. But now it's like, if I don't make like 10,000% returns on the time I'm putting into this, I will die. I will starve. It's like, oh, it's not as fun in games anymore there. But I think that aspect does kind of make it unfortunate, but at the same time, there's a number, again, with the official stuff, when Touhou had spin-offs with 7.5 and whatnot, there were a lot of returning characters. There was a lot of returning characters, and you got more experiences with them. But with newer Touhou stuff, there were a lot of characters, or a lot more, I should say, who really became, okay, they really became one-and-done type characters. Like, oh, here's this character. They're in this game. And they don't even make any cameos in written works. And they don't make any cameos in spin-offs. Like, they're not really anything. And there were still characters like that prior as well, but they had other stuff going for them for fan works. But now that doesn't really happen anymore. Like a character like Rumia, a character like Letty, Letty's not very popular, but Letty has a lot of notoriety and history to her despite no cameo, like actual real appearances after Touhou 7. But compared to characters from later than Touhou 15, it's even worse because they have even less popularity unless they really do something drastic or have an aspect to them that just sticks out right away. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Letty is like the lowest rated of the main stage bosses from the first 3 games. Oh, it's the Sunshine Secret level music. Wow. Wow. Ah. EOSD is also a little special in the idea that the characters' omakes were deliberately left very open-ended. Okay. Like, there's not a lot of info in them, which created more possible scenarios. But then after that, immediately after that, characters got way more backstory and characterization to them, which still was fine for the characters, because it still created a lot of different, like, things you could do with them. But the open-endedness of it was not as much, but I don't think that was a negative, personally. Like, hearing that Remy comes from a mansion from the outside world and brought the whole mansion with her, Sakuya not knowing what exactly a human is doing, working for a vampire, that's all well and good, you can do stories with that. But then Yuuko's case, Yuuko has a very fleshed out story about the state of her, like the tree and her relation to it. And even with that like fleshed out background, there's still a lot of interesting takes on it with other characters involved as well, right? So I don't think PCB did anything wrong with that. In fact, I think some of the earlier stuff some of the earlier stuff that Zun wrote for those characters is very interesting. One of my favorites is Byakuren. I think Byakuren's in-game lore is very interesting. How the events of her life that led her to who she is makes sense. And it makes her whole personality believable. As opposed to her just being a character. Ew, what are those womps? If Byakuren's character was just, like, hardcore Buddha, it would be kind of annoying. I think for some people it is still kind of annoying. But her character, to me, I used to be annoyed by Byakuren as well. For that reason. Because to me, Byakuren was just... her entire character was just Buddhism. And after actually learning about her backstory by reading the, actually reading the omake, I was like, wait, like, the shit this character went through actually makes sense as to why, like, they are who they are in modern Touhou. And suddenly her persona of being, you know, so agreeable and, like, caring about yokai and whatnot, it all kind of made sense. And it was believable to me at that point. Because reading about what her life was like, I was like, oh, like, I can see how her character would develop from the story. I think that's pretty cool. She's my favorite example of this because I think her story is actually very neat. Because, again, Byakuren is kind of like, oh, she's just, like, she's just misturned the other cheek. But then you read her story and she's like, oh, actually, her brother died. It caused her to develop fear of mortality, pursue dark arts, put on an act of fighting yokai because the magic that she uses to keep herself alive and, like, young it has the same power source as yokai. So she pretends to be a yokai hunter for that. But then she actually ends up developing an affinity for yokai and empathy towards them, which results in her own downfall. So I think her character story is very cool. I think Byakuren is a very well thought out character in her backstory. Sho as well. I think Sho is also really cool. And I like what Fantasy Maiden Wars does with Sho because it tries to get her to, like, when Byakuren was forced into captivity by the humans and she didn't resist and all of her colleagues just kind of went along with it. But Sho didn't because they didn't know Sho was a yokai. But Sho couldn't side with Byakuren because it would give up her position. And the different takes on how that kind of went and how that affected Sho for all those years as well. It's a really interesting type of story you can do for the character. So the more fleshed out omakes are still good. They're still good and I like them. I do like EOSD's omakes despite them being very, very, like, light on details. Simply because there's still a lot of opportunity to play with characters. And it's fair to say that you could probably get the same kind of play with characters from if other like further games didn't have as much, right? RMX Nightmare, SFR, Rocky Ridge, Heavenly Sanctuary, Zelda, Wind Waker, Windfall Island. Like if PCB didn't really flesh out omakes, ew. The hell is this? Ew. Alright. Okay. Yuck. I think I recognize this music from something. Oh, you have to wait till I mega down for it. Do newer characters have the same amount of omake text? Some of them do. Some of them do. I think Yashie's is a good example that of newer ones that still have text. Granted, Yashie's omake is barely about Yashie herself. It's more about the state of the animal realm and the animal groups. Like, her omake is basically world building for the primate spirit garden. But some characters, usually the earlier stage characters, don't really have a lot of info to go off of. And that kind of hurts them. That does hurt them. You won't see as many of them, but that's kind of just the nature of Stage 1 bosses anyway. Stage 1 bosses kind of need to have some kind of niche that they sit in. for them to really catch on with people. Rumiya got a lot, plus EOSD. So, you know, Rumiya is a special exception to the rule because she is. Rumiya gets to be special. But even, like, looking at Wriggle and Letty, right? It's very obvious that Rumiya is an exception than just a flat, like, oh, you're from this game, you're automatically popular, right? Because, again, Letty and Wriggle are not that popular, but Rumiya's popularity is staggering, all things considered. I know she has some milestones to her and whatnot, but she is a weirdly popular character all the same. Why, though? I don't know. You'd have to ask the people that like her. Streamer, you're one of those people. Yeah. Yeah, I guess I am, aren't I? I don't know. Couldn't tell you. Okay. Yeah, I think Osana Reimu is a big part of it as well. It's a very well-known, piece of fan work, and it delves into ideas of Rumiya. The whole EX Rumiya stuff, the Ofuda ribbon. I honestly think that EOSD's omakes, specifically, work in Rumiya's favor more than any other character. Because they present a very simple thing. The idea that her hair ribbon is something else entirely, and it hides a secret. And that gets people talking. And of course, early Touhou, you're gonna take as much as you can get with every character, right? Like, oh, so we know all these characters, but like, what about these two? Like, Rumiya and Chirno are kind of the odd ones out. And Rumiya's like, what if, like, what's her secret, you know? What's her secret? And that was explored. There's a lot of ways to portray her. Even then, a train. Even then, there are other characters, like Flan is a good example. Flan's on-screen appearance is not really that much, like, well, not her on-screen appearance, but Flan's, like, actual dialogue in the games is not that different from Rumiya's, you know? Rumiya and Flan pretty much talk once. Okay. They pretty much talk once, and then they show up in Aya's article, and then we never see them again. But they're both, like, really popular, and they both have a very large amount of depictions to them. Okay, that was weird. I said this during my hot take stream, chat, but I do actually believe that the decision to leave Flan out of, like, everything did contribute to her popularity a little bit more. Like, more I don't know if I'd say most, but I'd say a pretty good amount of Flandere's popularity stems from the fact that Zun didn't have any hand in her personality, because he didn't include her in anything. So many fan interpretations ran rampant that her fan base expanded. Because if you didn't like one Flandere interpretation, you could simply assume the other one. So you could have two people who would call themselves a fan of a Flandere, and they would be fans of two completely different, like, characters in terms of personality, right? You could have one person who's like, I like the Psycho version, and another person would say they like the version where she's like a sweet little child. But at the end of the day, both of these people are telling you they like Flandere, right? But if Zun got his grubby little hands all over Flandere's personality, I think her popularity would have been a little less her popularity wouldn't have been as strong. And obviously you could argue, but streamer, we saw what Zun did in 17.5, as well as Cheating Detective, and her popularity is still there. Yeah, that's because there's like 20-year difference between EOSD and these forms of media, and the opinion of Flandere's personality in these newer works was not universally agreed upon. You know? If she had had a determined personality out the gate, that would have kind of... Okay, I don't even know what's happening anymore. You can't change Flandere's personality anymore. Even if it's Zung coming up like 20 years later and being like, this is what she's like. No. Nope, I'll pretend I didn't see that. And that's kind of how it went down. Another thing as well that I think is important, this also affects Remilia's popularity because Remilia's relationship directly with Flandre is obviously a big aspect for character for both of them. And depending on how Flandre is, her personality does affect how Remilia's relationship with her would be, which adds even more to both characters because you see how they would get along. Is Remilia an overprotective older sister? Is she afraid of her sister? Like how do those two interact? Obviously there's the other denizens of the mansion as well, but Remy is the big one because Remy and Flan have that dynamic to them, right? Sakuya can still show up, but her personality towards Flandre is pretty much always going to be the same. She's going to be a servant to the house, right? The way she addresses her may be a little more, more like she's talking to a child sometimes, but for the most part, it'll be the same. Patchy is similar, and Mei Ling, who really knows? But Remy is definitely the most important. Remy's relationship with Flan is the most important. I really fought for that just to fucking do that. Oh, well, that's fine. Oh, I'm third, despite that little accident. Interesting. Alright. Zun was, I wouldn't say Zun was better with characters back then, because I don't think that's fairly fair to say, because there's definitely newer characters that he has released that I personally think are great. But I think in actuality, what it is some of the most popular characters in the series are characters that, while Zun created a good template for them, shot up into popularity due to common fan interpretations becoming recognized as if they are canon to begin with. And I kind of think that's a big aspect for a lot. I mean, if you look at the top 10 list, there's a lot of characters on there with legacy and fandom interpretations to them. How many Touhou characters do you know that are like widely considered to properly follow their canon interpretations without a little bit of what's the word? Exaggeration of different personality traits that are more akin to the fandom side. Remy's a funny one for that. Because I think that Remy actually does reflect her canon personality very well. But there are numerous instances in official works that are drawn by different people that highlight the aspect that we know as charisma break, right? Like, we know Remy has a childish tendency based on her spell cards. You know, calling herself a descendant of Dracula. Like, we know this because we're told this and we see this. But then, the parts that we are most familiar with when it comes to Remilia, when we talk about her childish nature, is things that we've seen in the different main, like, official works that were done by not Zun's art, right? Crouching Remilia, for example. That is the most notorious example, and that's her blocking animation from the fighting game. That wasn't made by Zun. That was a decision by somebody else who worked on the game, who's obviously a fan of Touhou, right? Another good one is Silent Sinner in Blue's high chair, where Remy has her designated chair, and it's just, you know, it's a high chair. She's got a bib and everything. But that is something that is drawn by a fan of Touhou who is aware of the idea of Remy and is playing it up. And obviously, Zun has to get the check of approval by Zun. But if he saw that, you really think he'd be like, no, change that immediately. That is wrong. Thank you, Doc. Tier 3. Alright. Well, to be fair, Zun loses his touch every time a new Touhou thing comes out. Much like how Pokemon lost its touch the second it released yellow version. Like, there's always just gonna be that argument to anything. But like I said, I think like there's a number of later characters who don't do anything for me to the point where I don't like them. But there are newer characters that I think are really cool and are some of my favorites. My prime examples for that would be Yuma and Jun, right? Jun is not as new anymore, which is weird to think about. But she is my favorite character. Wires Canyon Castle, Golden Poopy Coastline, Punch City, Downpour Boulevard. And Yuma, who originally when I saw Yuma, I was like, okay. But like Yuma grew on me so fast. And Yuma is definitely my newest, like my highest on my favorites of newest characters. I like Yuma a lot. Just sometimes he makes a character that I don't really have any, I don't really think they're that great, but they don't get a lot to them either. But you don't always need that. Yuma got more stuff later on for sure. So did Jun, but like in the case of Yuma, the only thing we have is 17.5, and I was like, I like this fucker. I think she's cool. I think she's great. But like when I was playing through the series and watching the series and I got to the newer games, I still remembered like who the characters were, some less so than others. But there are like, really I think what it was is there's less intermission games for you to get to know the new characters, and then nothing's done with them, so you just, they kind of fall by the wayside. You don't remember them. You don't really remember them, because it's not like the old days where you saw Remy in Touhou 6, and then you saw Remy in Touhou 7.5, Touhou 8, and Touhou 10.5, right? Or like Sakuya, who's in like every single fucking game from EOSD at that point, right? Sakuya's in 6, she's playable in 7, she's in 7.5, she's playable in 8, she's playable in 9, she's playable in 10.5. She's not a main character per se, but she is like a main character. She has so many like main roles after EOSD. That kind of thing. Intermission needs more dev time, and that's another problem. Remember, these were games that could be made back then because you could just make them, right? You can make them, sell them at a convention for $10 and be like, that was fun. And the early fighting games were kind of that. Twilight Frontier wasn't a big name group or anything like that. They were just a group that someone was like, hey, you guys want to make a fighting game for Touhou? And they were like, cool, let's do that. But now we reach current year where they were responsible for making Sunken Fossil World. And that game was riddled with so much issue. It's like, we don't get spin-off games with characters from the games that came out around it to give more characterization to them. We don't get that anymore. If we get a spin-off game at all, it's just kind of doesn't do anything for most characters. If we get one at all, but most of the time we just jump to the next game. Remember that between UFO to 10 Desires, there were 3 spin-off games. Zun made Great Fairy Wars. They released Hiso Tensoku. And Zun also released Double Spoiler. 3 fucking games between 12 and 13. And they were good games. Soku is considered the definitive way to play a Touhou fighter. Great Fairy Wars I don't like, but that's my problem. And Shoot the Bullet is a fun game. Like, they're competently made, playable games. And they all got released between one mainline release. Ain't that something? But that doesn't happen anymore. Times have changed. You can't really get away with that. Like I said, if you wanna make a game, you essentially need to be unemployed and working on it your entire life. Or you are okay with like doing it bit by bit and taking a long time. Now, don't get me wrong, this used to be the case where you could do that. I know the story of Stardew Valley. I think everybody knows the story of Stardew Valley. The guy who made that game, he made that game in his spare time. He worked a minimum wage job to make ends meet. Bro's desk was basically 2 boxes stacked on each other. This guy's setup was poverty. No two ways about it. But this was a long time ago at this point. Stardew Valley is pretty old. You can't even poverty max anymore like that. You can't do that anymore. I don't think there'd be enough time. He'd have to take up, to like make ends meet, he'd have to take up more jobs. He'd have less time to work on the game. Obviously, I don't know his exact schedule, but it did take him years to complete the game because the schedule made it so he couldn't work on it as long as he wanted to. But he was still able to work on it, despite having to work long part-time hours to make ends meet, right? But as it is now, unless you're like on a retirement fund or living off disability or just straight up unemployed, whatever you want to call it, if you're gonna commit a lot of time into making something, well, you kind of want it to succeed because it might be your livelihood at stake. I wonder if the most coveted job of our generation is streamer at this point. I don't know if that's necessarily because of COVID, but I wonder about that. For like, influencer isn't really a job, right? That's not a job. But I wonder, like, those career surveys that people do. For career surveys that they do in school, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Right? You think they actually have, like, people come in? Why did I just go out of bounds? Like, they had career men come in and talk about their jobs. Imagine in the future where we invite streamers into schools to talk about their jobs as streamers. I went to one for a fireman. I can't imagine going to one to a streamer. No thanks. But yeah, streamer, influencer, social media gremlin. Like, these are probably real considerable careers for younger people, right? We'll see, hours streamed, hours worked is the same, considering the offline work goes into streaming. Well, that's another thing as well, is that there are some people who do actually stream like 12 hours a day. There are some people who their job is to just go on stream, play games, and then retire and do whatever they're doing at that point. But they're like, not everybody does that, right? Okay. I guess we're at Punch City, in case you forgot. In case you forgot, we're at Punch City. Cool. But no, there are some streamers who do stream, like, the entirety of a day. To a point where you wonder if they're even getting enough sleep, or what they're doing in their spare time, right? But some people's whole lives are essentially on stream. And those are the ones that get me. The IRL streamers who, like, literally stream everything they're doing. Like, they can't do anything without thinking that they have to show the world what it is they're doing. They effectively have no privacy. They effectively have no privacy, but they don't care because their whole life is just a stream. They stream everything they do. Some of them will even stream them sleeping. Like, this is it. This is their life. It's like a reality TV. And the weirdest thing to me is not that they do that, but that there's a very large audience of people who watch that. Oh, this is getting weird. This music is getting weird. There's a surprisingly large audience for streams where it's just watching people like live their life. You're spending your time watching somebody live their life. It's really weird to me. Now, watching somebody play video games is a different thing, in my opinion. Because if you're, like, when you're watching somebody play a video game, unless you're interested in the game's story, or specifically to check out the game's gameplay or something, you're probably just gonna have the thing up on the side, bro, right? You're gonna have something on the side, and it's just more like background noise. It's our generation's television. Something to have on while you do something else. Because it just helps you feel, I don't know, less... I don't know how to phrase it, but I do it. I do it. It's good background noise. But the idea of putting on a stream that is just watching somebody else live their life, I don't really know about that one. I don't really want to watch something like that. I don't really get the highlight of that one. Downtown Boulevard. Downpour Boulevard. Whoa, I can't see the walls. Oh no, you want to talk about creepy? You ever watch a VTuber? Okay, I know how that sounds. I know how that sounds, but listen. Listen. I don't have beef with, like, okay. I don't have beef with the VTubers. I don't like the ones that are just raunchy jokes and cleavage. Because they found their market, and they embellish that market. But they're the ones who, like, don't try to be like that. But they attract even weirder people. They attract the side that are like, I'm not a gooner, and then they give 100 bits to drop a massive fucking paragraph. Literally a fucking paragraph about how amazing and beautiful and the streamer is and how not worthy they are. And I'm just like, bro, you're making me feel massive secondhand embarrassment. Bro dropped 200 bits for this. 200 bits for this. Oh, you are so beautiful. I am not worthy. Bro's got a 100,000 bit badge next to his name. Like, and obviously, there ain't no fucking way the VTuber ain't gonna take that cash cow out of the bank. Ain't no shot. But here's the thing. Chat, you ever see that image of Garfield looking at the poster that says no Garfield? And it goes, huh, wonder who that's for. That right there. These people drop unhealthy amounts of money on VTubers, and they say all this shit. And the VTubers are like, oh, I will not share even the slightest shred of information about me that could possibly lead to you figuring out, like, who I am. And then the people who drop all this money are like, yeah, good idea. You wouldn't want any of those, like, weirdos to come and find your place. Like, motherfucker, you are the weirdo. You're the one that they don't want to come find their place. All right? Your shit all... You are being held back with a 10-foot pole. They'll take your money. They will gladly take your money because you are literally their retirement fund. You have already put 4 digits in their retirement fund. They will keep you on that pole over there, and you will keep giving them money. But motherfucker, you are the guy they are trying to keep away from their business. You are the guy they don't want to know anything about them. Alright? You are the guy they are afraid is going to follow them home. That's how it is. That's how it is. No, there are a couple VTubers that I've watched. Neuro is funny because Neuro is an exception to VTubing as a whole. He's pretty much the only one I watch, but I've watched a couple of her friends. On and off again. Hydropower, Current, Winter Dream, and Shy Guy Ship Battle. The Seaside Raceway. There's nothing wrong with the people, like the VTubers themselves, but like I said, sometimes you just see the the bit donation come in and it's a paragraph and it's just that, and it's like, bro, you're making me feel uncomfortable. Ow. That's not a good noise. Ow. Oh, there I go. Neuro isn't really a VTuber. Neuro is a goofy AI. Also, I'm more of a Vidal fan anyway. I like Vidal. I think he's funny. I don't really watch a lot of their collabs because I don't care about most of the people that they collab with. But they can be pretty funny at times. I like when Evil makes stupid noises. I'm very easily entertained by stupid noises. Oh, there are definitely... Okay, again. You ever see Blade Runner? Neuro is not really an exception in the sense that there are some people who really hold that little bastard to an unhealthy degree, for sure. But that's kind of everything in general. There's always going to be weirdos, no matter what you do. But yes, there are some people, like, we're talking about this like people don't gain unhealthy fixations on fictional characters already. You know how many times characters exist in media and someone fucking takes it way too far? Like the guy who married Twilight Sparkle, you know that one? I bet you do. Oh, I bet you know that one. Motherfucker legally married Twilight Sparkle. The pony. This shit ain't new. This shit has been around forever. Some guy married Miku. There's no exceptions to this rule. None. Touhou has it. Undertale has it. Oh my god, does Undertale have it? Everything has it. Every piece of popular media has some characters that some people have unhealthy degrees of interest in. And I kind of think it's funny because sometimes I think about what the actual character would think about these levels of obsession towards them. And sometimes when I think about it, it kind of makes me feel bad. Because the self-proclaimed #1 fan of a character in the world, imagine if they met the character they're #1 fan of. Oh my goodness. Oh, could you imagine? Imagine meeting your favorite character ever, and they look at you and they call you a creep. Or they take a whiff of you and they go, oh, geez, you're disgusting. Like, you'd be fucking crushed, wouldn't ya? Wouldn't ya? I did that 3 laps, didn't I? Meeting your favorite character and then having them say that you are a creepy, unwashed bozo. And if your favorite character is a mean character, that's to be expected. Hey, that's not my headcanon. Ah! No, this isn't true. No, there's no way that my favorite character would say that because I know my favorite character better than they know themselves. There's no way they'd say that about me. Let me tell you something. There is a degree of superfan where headcanon, their headcanon, they end up convincing themselves is just canon. Plain and simple. They've just decided that because they are the biggest fan of the character, that what they believe to be true about the character is true. So it's impossible to actually have a proper discussion with people like that because their opinion on what a character is based on what in their mind. So you can't actually refute any of their claims because in their mind, what they think of the character is the character. You can't have an opinion that differs from them because then you're a fool. It happens all the time. Interpretations of characters are common. Understanding that your interpretation of a character doesn't reflect a 100% reflect a character, but highlights aspects of the character that you yourself like is another, right? For example, one of my favorite aspects of Letty is exaggerating the idea that she is kind of like a babysitter to Chirno and her group of friends. Is that canon? Not even remotely. Should it be canon? That's a whole different topic. But that's my favorite aspect of Letty. So that's the aspect of Letty I like the most. So my favorite versions of Letty play into that specific role. Does that mean that versions of Letty that don't do that are wrong? Yes, but that's besides the point. But it's not like they're going against canon or anything, right? Reimu is another good example. There are different interpretations of Reimu. Flandre, Koishi, every character's got them. But you'll notice that the people who consider themselves super fans of characters will oftentimes forget that what they think of a character is not actually reflective of the character one-to-one, but they just simply convince themselves that it is, because how could they be wrong? They are the biggest fan of that character. And that's why talking to those people about their favorite character is kind of just the easiest way to make people not want to talk about that character. Nobody understands my favorite character. That's why nobody talks to me about them. No, nobody talks to you about them because you're not interested in discussion. You're only interested in having people go, wow, you are so right. You are definitely the biggest fan. You want to be the president of the fan club. To a point where anyone who says anything otherwise just either gets ignored or refuted to a point where you resort to name calling. Oh, if that isn't a popular one. That happens a lot, by the way, chat. Get into an argument on the internet with someone, and eventually, no matter what, they will just start resorting to name calling. The entire point will be lost. The argument will have nothing to do with the original point anymore, and it will just be an attack on personal character. It'll be an attack on character, and name calling, and whining. So that's why arguing on the internet is pointless. There's simply no reason to engage because you can't win. Because the moment you quote-unquote win, your opponent just turns into a fucking 5-year-old. Or you just lose anyway, and then the next day goes on, and both of you go about your days with your opinions not changed at all. Pirates. I think I have a decent mix of characters that I like where I exaggerate aspects I like about them, but there's also the mostly canon aspects of them. Jun, I think, is a good example of that. I like everything about canon Jun, but I also like the prospect of fanon Jun based on semi-canon information, right? Those are aspects I like about her. Rumi is a character that I like pretty much because of fanon, because there's not much else to go off of. Reimu is a character that I like the balance of. There are tons of aspects to Reimu's character that I like, both officially and exaggerated. Satori and Aya. Oh, thank God. Satori is one that I lean more for the exaggeration. Aya is one that I lean more for the exaggeration nowadays because I don't like Lotus Eaters very much. But prior to that, I did actually like Aya quite a bit in terms of her canon representation. But Lotus Eaters kind of made me not. And to be fair, Lotus Eaters, if there's anything Lotus Eaters is good at, it's making interesting characters obnoxious. So good on Lotus Eaters. Every single interesting character they use in Lotus Eaters has devolved into a character that is not interesting at all anymore. That is my professional quote-unquote opinion of that series. Kind of a shame. Suika, I used to really like Suika. Aya, I still really like Aya. I don't like Lotus Eater Suika. Like at all. She has a couple goofy moments, but I just don't think she's entertaining. And I don't like Mommies though, so my opinion on her is what it is. And Mioi is confusing, because I don't even know... I don't know what Mioi is supposed to be anymore. Mioi as a character confuses me, because I feel like she's been 3 different characters at this point. And I don't know what her endgame really is. And I don't really know how to have any attachment to the character at all. Because everything she does is just confusing. I can't root for her because I don't get her. Well, that's fun. That's fun. Baba boom. Seaside Raceway. Oh god, it's like sideways. Blue Goomba. Blue Goomba. I'm gonna win. Yo, it's Sonic Heroes, level 1. I forget the name of it. Seaside Resort? Whatever. Tenchi, I think, is a bit of an interesting one for me, because I didn't like Tenchi originally, but Tenchi really grew on me with her later appearances. Oh, well. The Orca. Okay, alright, this was cooler in theory than it is in practice. Fire. Au revoir. Alright. I think it's actually kind of interesting. Every now and again... Wow. Every now and again I find, chat, that there's a couple characters who, like, I'll just kind of see a piece of media or whatever, and it'll just increase my opinion of that character to a higher degree. Never really enough to, like, upset the balance, I suppose. But it's not too surprising to me because I know how easily influenced people are. Looking at Touhou popularity polls, you can tell how very easily influenced some people are by things coming out. But I do find it kind of funny how sometimes it really only takes, like, one piece of media to completely and utterly, like, change the course of your opinion of a character from don't care to I love you. For me, that was Alice. That was Alice. My opinion of Alice was never that high. And then suddenly it was. And then suddenly it was. Oh, that happened. Misty's Izakaya, yeah? I think Misty's Izakaya did a great deal for Misty's individual popularity. I don't know if I'd say it did much for me personally. Not to say I don't like Mystia, but, like, I do like Mystia. I think Mystia is cool, but, like, at the end of the day, there are just so many other characters I like more than Mystia that it didn't really do much, I guess. But, like, I do think that the characterization Mystia got in that game was very fun. Starbits caught. Ruined downtown, Cosmic Causeway, Bluster Blob Bluff, Frost Flooded City. Ooh. I'm dead, sad face. Okay. Well. I guess this place is just fucking shit. road closed. That's a big car. It's kind of cool. A little edgy. But, well, who cares? Have fun. Whoa, was that a fucking steam engine Goomba? Did you see that? Sinkhole, tread lightly. Holy shit. I'm dead. Sad. It's a Goomba with a top hat. Grass Jam 79. Why is he the Winnie the Pooh? It's the urban jungle. It's the urban jungle. I don't like cities as a setting, but I will say I kind of dig the city that has gone to ruin and has been taken back by nature setting. I kind of like that setting. Just a bunch of dilapidated ruins, but it's so much ivy and greenery and shit. Nature has taken back what is rightfully hers. I like that. I like that aesthetic. It's a dark Goomba. He's dark. Log Horizon is a good example, actually. If you're familiar with Log Horizon, the main town in that series is like that. I like the aesthetic quite a lot. Man, I got Grand Blue Season 2 in a week. I'm excited for that. I'm excited for that. Ah, wrong way! It's okay, I'm just bagging. I'm just bagging for a better item. That's all. Okay. Log Horizon's actually pretty cool. I actually like it. Because at first it's like, oh, we're trapped in... See, Log Horizon got animated around the same time SAO did. So SAO, like, people are like, oh, this is just SAO. No, it's not. SAO is about guy and fighting. Log Horizon started with kind of exploring the game mechanics, but then after that it was like, all right, now let's actually world build. And that's the part about Log Horizon that is the most interesting, is the world building aspect to it. That's fine. I'm a Koopa shell. I never watched the second season completely. I never saw the third season. From what I understand, Log Horizon is a series. It's kind of, it gets worse the longer it goes on, but the first season's actually quite solid. So I'm kind of watching it right now. Cosmic Causeway by Mickey Mouse. That's right. Wow, pretty. Look at my Mickey t-shirt. Yeah, I never finished it. I watched like half of the second season, I think, and I just kind of never finished it. I really should. Just to kind of see if it has an ending of any capacity. Database. The opening is way too actiony for how the series really is. But again, the first couple episodes of it are more about detailing the game aspect and the combat mechanics. But then after that, it's kind of like, no, we're talking about the economy, getting the economy running, and like creating a civilization and a society. Also, the guy who wrote it got arrested for tax evasion. So that's funny. Dude was very into the economic aspect of the series, and then he got arrested for tax evasion. He's not in jail anymore, but are you really shocked that a guy who would have so much knowledge on how economics works would be a tax evader? I'm not. It's always funny to me when you find, like, randomly accurate knowledge of, like, shit in anime and manga. I feel like a lot of stories, they brush over that shit because they don't know what they're talking about. But then they'll be like, then you'll get one where the guy who wrote it is, like, has a fucking degree or something. A good example is actually Silver Spoon. Silver Spoon is written by the same lady who wrote Fullmetal Alchemist. So obviously big shoes to fill. But it's a fine enough series. But it's about basically a school in the countryside about, like, agriculture and farming. And the writer grew up on a farm. So, like, she had real world experience with the setting, so she knew what she was talking about, which is cool. So, like, you can go more in depth and explain things and make the world feel more real when you have knowledge how it works. And if that was your childhood, then of course you know how it works, right? But if you don't know how any of this shit works and you don't want to learn it, you just got to create a story where these concepts are very vague or they're explained away with a very simple aspect, like magic or some bullshit. Shit like that is great. Because Log Horizon's like, okay, so you use when you make the thing in the game, you open a menu and you create the item. But if you want the thing to actually, like, work, you have to make it by hand, but you need the subclass that lets you do it. So that's how the cooking thing kind of happened, is all the food didn't have any taste because it just got made. But if you cooked it yourself, like you would in the real world, it made the food have taste. And they used that information to make a steam engine, something that wasn't naturally in the game. So they're like actually advancing as a civilization. They're working on building a boat, like a steam-powered boat, which is like, oh, cool. That's cool world building. Literally, they're building the world. It's not just characters are trapped in video game and they have to use game mechanics. It is characters trapped in video game, but they're like using real world applications to build the world. Sword Art Online didn't do that. Sword Art Online was just everything is the game, you listen to the game rules. That's it. But Log Horizon is like actually building the world within the game. I think that's cool. Politics, economics, shit that is too much for me to understand, but I can appreciate. The hell is this music? Honestly, where the fuck am I? Try to include things the author has no clue. Well, here's the thing. If the author doesn't know how it works, and the audience doesn't know how it works, then everybody just kind of lets it slide. But I would argue the best series that we know are ones that actually know what they're talking about, because they make for a more compelling and interesting story that we care about. Where there's a lot of stories... There are a lot of stories where everything is so vague or unexplained that you don't really give a shit by the end of it. Actually, Granblue is another good example. Granblue Dreaming. So again, it's comedy-centric, but it's about diving. But it actually is very knowledgeable about diving. It's actually very knowledgeable about diving. It goes on to explain like things like diving licenses, depth you're allowed, without license, with license, hand signals, what equipment does and why it's important. Like, it actually explains diving as an activity and all the stuff that's associated with it. They don't just like jump in the ocean and then they're diving and then it goes back to being comedy. Like, when they talk about diving, it's actually about diving. It knows what it's talking about. And that's kind of what makes the dichotomy of the comedy and the seriousness work. Because it doesn't just be like, oh, they dive, haha, here. But, like, when they dive, it's a serious matter. It's something that you need to be careful of because you can really hurt yourself. You can even, like, die if you're not careful with diving. So they take it very seriously, and they present it very seriously. And it's very informative and very interesting. And you're sitting there straight-faced, and then after they're done diving, they'll go and drink 97% alcohol and get into some shenanigans, and you go, hee-hee-ha. It's funny. But they always make sure to take the diving bit seriously, which makes it feel like a more grounded in reality series, which, in my opinion, makes it more interesting. As opposed to it just being constant punchlines over and over again. Well. Ascending when diving is very dangerous as well. The change in the pressure. They have like special pressurization capsules, something like that. But when you dive like very deep depths and you resurface, the pressure change can kind of fuck you up. So you have to go in like a pre-depressurization capsule, I think it's called, and you just kind of live in a capsule for a certain amount of time until you're like. Until you slowly get used to the pressure of the surface. Because if you just kind of go from the depths to the surface, like the difference in pressure, I think it just can cause like your fucking internal organs to explode. I don't really know exactly how it works because I'm not a diver, but I am aware of like the whole like. But this isn't like. I'm pretty sure that this is like for professional divers. People that can dive like very deep depths, not like a recreational dive, where a recreational dive is just kind of like you only go a certain distance. But obviously the deeper you go, the more the pressure increases. And the difference in pressure when you resurface can straight up fucking kill you. So yeah, the diving is cool. I don't know if I'd ever be able to dive myself. I don't think I'd be able to do it. But seeing like everything up close in the water seems really cool. I think that'd be really cool to see. Assuming it's not like super murky. So yeah, Grand Blue Dreaming is just a good example of that because the whole point I was talking about was that when the author knows what they're talking about, you care more about what it is they're explaining, because clearly they care. When people care about what they're talking about, I am more inclined to care. You know? If somebody genuinely cares about what it is they're talking about, I will find it more interesting to listen to them, even if I don't particularly care about the subject at hand. Because clearly they care. Clearly they find an interest in it. And I find their interest in it interesting in itself, which I think makes it worth listening to, if only a bit. Unless I really don't fucking care. But, you know, usually I find that passion towards something goes a long way to kind of captivating an audience to pay attention. If you're half-hearted, wishy-washy, or don't even know what you're talking about, how can you expect your audience to give a shit? Bowser's Frozen Castle, Eventide Gorge, BKMR, Misty Cliffs, Wispy Woodlands. Okay. Well, that's the thing, though, right? Is that when a story is written and world building is effort is put into world building and understanding how it works, I see that the guy who made this cares about this particular subject, which means they care about the world they're making, which means they care about the characters, which in short means they give a fuck about what it is they're doing, right? The guy who is writing the story cares. And because I am now very aware how much they actually give a shit, I now care more about their story. I care more about their characters. I care more about their world. Oh, well, that's awkward. When everything is just a cliche with no payoff, or a trope with no, like, flavor, and no explanation for vague terms, it's just something I forget about after the fact because I don't consider it, like, it's not really worth caring about it. But if you really put the effort into things, it shows. I really think it shows. This is a weird one. Most of that stuff that is just purely action for the sake of action isn't as interesting. Oh, okay. Because it's just action. I'm just gonna forget everything after anyway. I've seen a number of series like that where it's just, that's it. It's just action. Action-y. And then it's just, it ironically becomes kind of boring. Does Touhou suffer from that? Yes and no. What the hell is happening? What the fuck just happened? Touhou leaves some things in its world building off. Like, for a big one is definitely how the economy works. But Zun has done world building. He's created areas, he's created lore for areas, he's created lore for characters, he's created lore for how the world was made. Like, there is lore in Touhou that is good and overall pretty interesting to Touhou. But there are some areas that are vague and not really explained. And that is where most of the other characters kind of suffer. Because if a character doesn't have an interesting story to them, then they get forgotten about. The only thing they have going for them at that point is what they look like. But the characters that I like are the ones that actually have characterization of them that make them interesting. With some exceptions, of course. Touhou isn't perfect, but I think that Zun did a very good job laying the groundwork for his world and expanding it enough to make a fleshed out world. It's kind of a shame that nowadays his expansions to the world are just him griping about the current state of modern society. But what can you do? What can you do? Getting a little tired of hearing about AI is going to be my overlord from Yazun. You've said that like 3 different times in the last year. I'm a little tired of it, man. Just make your robot character already. Get it over with. Get it over with. Recall some of my favorite locations to talk about. Some of my favorite areas to talk about are the ones that are mentioned in the Chronicle that aren't really seen anywhere. Like the Road to Reconsideration and the Road to Liminality. Those are cool areas that aren't really explored ever, but they exist in Touhou's world and they have actual lore to them that I find very interesting. Like, Zun just kind of made places that were cool. Places within Touhou that are cool. Characters within Touhou that are cool. What a series as big as that, not every single time he makes something can it be a smash hit. And obviously, what is or isn't a smash hit is also based on my opinion when it comes to me consuming the content, right? Okay. Like, if a character comes out and I don't think that character is interesting, then I don't like that character. Bada bing, bada boom. The Lunar Capital is a good example of that. I don't like Lunarians. I don't like the Lunar Capital. I don't like any of it. I think their existence is very sad and depressing. I think their characters are very boring and annoying. So for me, anything involving Lunar Capital is usually a miss because I just don't think Zun writes them very interestingly. I think they are designed to be boring. They are designed the way they are and they're just not interesting because there's nothing interesting about them. Zun can make things interesting with world building, but then Lunar Capital is the opposite of that. The lunar capital is just shitty place, and then the Lunarians are just really, really strong because they're really, really strong. Like, it's the kind of character writing that you see from poor grade fan fiction. And that's why I think those characters are weak, because they don't have anything interesting in them. They have a quirk they're known for, and then they have a small, endearing character trait that's supposed to completely balance the character's positives and negatives and make them interesting characters. But it doesn't. Yorihime is really annoying. I don't care if she gets flustered easily, or if she's so serious that sometimes she gets thrown off. That's not interesting. That's one thing. You know who does that? Remy. But Remy does it in like 3 different flavors. Remy has so much more variety in how her character is explored in these contexts. But Yorihime is only done in one way, and that is the only way she will ever be done. Is it fair to compare Yorihime to Remilia? Probably not, but she's the closest example that I have there of that. I don't know where I am. I'm on an island. It's pretty. Well, overpowered characters are not unpopular. Overpowered characters are a pretty common trope. Why is there a lightning bolt over there? It's just me personally, I don't find characters who are just strong because the series said they're strong very interesting. I prefer to at least know and have a believable reason as to why a character could be as strong as they are. I don't like the explanation to Yorihime and Toyohime's strengths because they don't feel earned. They don't feel earned to me. They feel like they were just made to be strong because they needed to be strong. Their strength doesn't come from anything or any reason. It's just they're strong because they're strong. They're just natural geniuses who figured out all of this like super effectively, and they train for 1 billion years because they're Lunarians and they're old. And it's like, all right, cool. Like that, I don't care. That's not really interesting. There's a reason why we can watch Naruto try to Chidori for like 3 episodes and watch him fail. And then as soon as he gets it, we're like, yeah. Even though we knew he was gonna get it, the fact that he failed a couple times meant that he had to keep trying to get it. If he could just do it right away out the gate, you'd be like, oh, cool, wow. Natural born talent right there. What a guy, very glorp. Chidori. Yes, I know. He has the Rasengan. Sasuke has the Chidori. I know. I know. But my point still stands. Watching the protagonist flounder a special move and keep training is inspiring. You want to see them get it. But when somebody just does it right away because they're just so fucking talented, you kind of just roll your eyes. It's not much of a hero's journey if the hero is just capable of everything before they've even set off on their journey, right? We want to see people succeed, but when we're told they just succeeded because they succeeded, it's not as, you know, it's not really a story. It's not interesting. There's a reason why people like Moomin Rider so much. Moomin Rider is a very popular character in One Punch Man. Is he a strong character? No. In fact, Moomin Rider doesn't, like, win ever. But he is the embodiment of what it means to be a hero. It doesn't matter if he's going to lose. He needs to stop the villain because that's what a hero does. He needs to buy time for the stronger heroes. That's why we like him. Because he's a good stand-up guy. We want Moomin Rider to be stronger because we see how he is, his ideals. We know how he would use his strength. We like this guy. But then we get a character who we're just told is really strong, and it's like, he's not nearly as interesting as Moomin Rider, even if Moomin Rider couldn't even last 2 seconds in the ring with him. One Punch Man is a little special in the sense that Saitama's like a joke character, right? Like, It's not people don't like Saitama or anything like that, but he's a gag character, right? But Moomin Rider is a very popular character from One Punch Man because of the aspects of his character. He doesn't win, but he never gives up. He keeps trying. We want him to win. One Punch Man is a comedy first. Not really. I actually disagree with that. One Punch Man is only a comedy when Saitama has to get involved. And that's usually in the earlier stuff, because the earlier stuff is very flavor, like episode of the week type of deal, where Bad Man happens and Saitama shows up, takes care of it, and Baba Booey. But the Garo arc is when the story kind of became a story, and Saitama was still there, but he wasn't really the focus. So it stopped being a comedy at that point. But even then, Saitama doesn't always turn into like a comedy, right? For the most part, whenever he's facing off against a random villain, it is usually a comedy. Except for the King of the Sea Serpents, right? The King of the Sea dudes, when he shows up. And again, that's Moomin Rider's big moment, right? Is when he stands in the way of that dude, because nobody else will. And like, you know, Saitama just shows up, he one-shots it, and it starts a little bit of like hero controversy, right? The Wario bike. The recent chapters are ass. I haven't read. Hold on, we're on Meat Cup. 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. 22 left. Oh my god, there's 22 left, chat. Rosalina Park, Mid Station, System 32, Sandcastle Park. There's 22 cups left. We can do 2 more now, and then we can do 10 and 10 for next time. We can do 10 and 10 for next time. It's perfect. I'm gonna MK7. Probably not. If only just because I did MK7 tracks in this game. What I actually want to look into is the Sonic Ring Racer game. Because that one, apparently, you can play with people, and it has a lot of modded characters and modded tracks, so that would be the next thing I look into, but not right away. I got other things to do first. I'll check out the Ring Racer game. It just seems better in the long run. 7, I have to emulate it, and I don't know if it'll be very consistent of an emulation. I'm not playing 8, and I don't have World, so... Mario Kart Wii was supposed to kind of stop with just Mario Kart Wii, but I found this pack that has a bajillion tracks, and I've been doing this for 13 parts now. Just playing every track. So, you know. I played every single Mario Kart 7 and 8 track. Except, not Tour, I didn't play Tour. Tour tracks are boring. So we'll do that one. So yeah, it's again, overpowered characters have their popularity. Some people like overpowered characters, but for me, I just don't. I just don't like overpowered characters. I think characters that are strong because the plot demands that a character be stronger than the main character are annoying. I need a character whose strengths make sense for them to have. Okay, we're not doing too hot here. That's why I think Jiren is not a very good antagonist. Because his story isn't interesting. Jiren isn't interesting. Granted, Frieza is similar. Frieza is just natural talent, very strong, but Jiren's backstory is really lazy. Like, he's pretty much as strong as Goku Blue. And we've seen Goku train to reach Goku Blue. But Jiren's story is he lived in a village and then he got beat up and he trained with a bunch of friends. Then he got beat up again and his friends were like, oh, I'm not doing that again. And he got really sad and became a loner, and he trained more, and he became the super gray alien. And it's like, I just don't buy it. I just don't think that explanation is as good as it should be. Granted, this is the anime explanation. No idea what the manga does. But Jiren just kind of felt really weak for how high his power level was supposed to be relative to the entire series at that point. Okay, yeah, I will say, a character being freakishly strong to be freakishly strong is kind of fine if the character is meant to be the villain, right? And that's what Frieza is. Frieza is the antagonist. He's the bad guy. He has to be stronger than the hero, and the hero has to confront him and defeat him. But when it's, like, not inherently a bad guy, that's when it gets kind of annoying for me, personally. Because it's like, at that point, why doesn't this motherfucker just take over as the main character, right? If he's so goddamn strong. He's boring, Jim. Character being overpowered but loses because he's cocky is a good way to do it. I can't think of a single example of that, actually. I don't think Frieza lost because he was overconfident. He was definitely overconfident, for sure, but by the time he actually fought, like, Super Saiyan Goku, he was already, like, max power. And then he went buff. But, like, Frieza was pretty much done transforming at that point. And he was always afraid of the super legendary Super Saiyan as something that was stronger than him, but he didn't believe it existed, and then suddenly it did, and he was like, uh-oh. Uh-oh. But all villains are overconfident, because if they weren't overconfident, they wouldn't be villains. People wouldn't follow them. People follow villains because they have charisma. Charisma is born from confidence. I've never seen a villain who leads, like, an actual organized group not be confident or overconfident. They assume they're the strongest, after all. They're so strong nothing can oppose them. I am the greatest in the universe. Nothing can beat me. Cell Force going to get his power up? No. No. But Vegeta did that to Cell. Now, Cell did kind of, like, he did create the Cell Juniors to fuck everybody up. He did do that, and it was to get a rise at a Gohan, because I think Goku said he was, like, stronger than him, and Cell wanted to see that, but he didn't believe it, so he tried to kind of coax him to get stronger. There is that, but Vegeta could have killed Cell. Vegeta could have killed Cell, but Cell was like, no, wait, Vegeta, I'm not at my strongest form yet. Don't you want to, like, fight me at my strongest form? And Vegeta was like, yeah, actually, I want to beat you so bad. And then he let Cell absorb 17, and then Vegeta couldn't beat him anymore. And it's like, well, good job, you fucking twat. Oh, man. This is the inside of my computer. Well, yep, that's Funky Pong. Lost in my system files forever. I got WinRAR. Well. It's funny because Touhou villains are pretty much always like that too. Touhou villains are pretty much always overconfident, but they're not really villains. Everybody... It's just yokai in general and gods in general are very prideful. They have a lot of pride, so they just assume they're better than others. until they get absolutely fucking humbled. But like, gods have to be loud and boastful because that gets them attention. But yokai are just proud in general because that's just their nature. So a lot of characters in the series are overconfident in their abilities. Very few characters in that series are very shy or reserved. Sandcastle Park. Fossil ruins. Yo, Dry Lagoon? What a classic. Chat, have you ever seen the show Problem Children Are Coming from Another World? You ever watched that show? Because I gave that show one episode and I immediately fucking hated it and could not watch anymore. That show is a prime example of the kind of like overpowered character that I dislike. That show right there, that's a prime example. Rude assholes who just like succeed right away, while there's always like a fucking commentator who's like, oh, what the fuck, nobody's ever done that before. Well, that guy's way too strong. There's no way you can handle that. And they're just like, and then they just do it. And it's like, whoa, my god, you're so awesome and talented. Please have sex with me. And it's like, all right, sure. Like those kind of characters, holy snooze fest, bro. Holy fucking snooze fest characters. That last bit's unnecessary. That last bit is true. Because these types of characters who are extremely rude to everybody and like just are not good people, but they're the good guys. I'm just supposed to believe that every female character in the series loves them. Like, oh, they're so awesome. They're so talented. Kia, he's so handsome. Fuck you. You have a horrible taste in men. That was a bullet? I hope somebody grabbed it. Yep. That's fine. That's okay. No. No. Whew. Oh yeah, there's some pretty obvious hints when the guy writing the thing is like self-inserting hard on the MC and wants the audience to do so as well. I don't like stories very much. I don't really like too many stories that do that. I am more of a fan of when the main character is a character within the world and he's not meant to be a what if Pog Me was in that world. Moo Moo Cup, High Voltage Lab, BKMR Moy Mountain, BKMR Sewer, Rosalina's Star Trip. Alright, last one, and we have 20 left after that. And we'll break them up into 2 sets of 10. I forgot what I was just talking about. Chat, what was I just talking about? Before I... Oh, I'm alive. Self-insert. Right, yeah. Yeah, stories where the main character is actually like a character in the universe. Those are the stories I like. But there's a lot of stories where the main character is so devoid of interesting qualities because they don't want to alienate the potential reader from seeing themselves as that character. Then there are the writers who get too into it and they just assume that their main character is them. And they ruin the entire series for that reason. Shoutouts to Devil is a Part-Timer. That is one such series where the guy writing it got too invested and the main character just turned into a self-insert. Like, Mao was just him at that point. If you want to tell a story, tell a story. If you're going to include yourself in it, do it like Kojima did. Kojima made himself a fucking character in Peace Walker. Just do that. Don't make yourself the main character. Just make yourself like a fucking cameo, one-off side character. You know? Like, you want to be part of the story, go ahead, but don't make yourself the main character. And don't try to make the main character so bland that anybody can be them. Because that means nobody can be them. Here's my main character. He's not good at any particular thing, but he's really good at everything he does do. Yup. That sounds like me. Okay. What are his activities? Nothing. Just like me. How are his grades? Average. Oh my god, just like me! What is his personality? He's nice to women. Oh my god! That's me! Anything else? He's got short black hair. And you look at the overall demographic of adolescent to adult Japanese males. Oh my god! He's just like me! My protagonist has short black hair. I cannot fucking believe this. Nobody could have ever seen this coming. Well. Do you think that the people who write stories where the main character is nice to a girl once and the girl spends the rest of the series competing for that guy's affection with 3 other girls, do you think people who write stories like that, holy moly Goomba, do you think people who write stories like that actually know anything about women? Or I guess they don't have to know anything because it's all fantasy. And that is their ideal fantasy. The idea that one act of kindness will find you a partner for life. One who is willing to fight other women for your affection. God, if only that were true. Am I right, boys? Ha ha ha. Very glorp. Harem plots are not exactly known for their depth, but you got to admit there is a overwhelmingly large degree of these situations where it's just one act of random kindness, like just that's it. That's just it. You've imprinted yourself on their psyche so hard that they can never ever have another relationship with anyone ever again. It can only be you, Mr. Super Kind. You know what I like? I like when it's one romantic interest or 2, and the main romantic interest develops through constant character interaction and sharing of troubles and interactions And one other one being more of a love triangle situation. I like interesting, complex character relations that grow over time and actually grow. There's nothing worse. There is nothing worse than when a perceived increase, advancement, or anything of the sort of a character's relationship is immediately forgotten or reset because it's moving too fast and they need to get more chapters out of it. That is piss. That is just piss. That's all piss. I don't like this. You want to know a good example of what I just told you, chat? Blue box. This streamer will take any opportunity he can to talk about the things he likes. Yeah, it's my stream, bitch. I get to do that. Blue box is great for building character relationships, in my opinion. I can't wait for the second season. I've already read the manga entirely because I like it, but the manga's not even done. Here he goes with blue box. It's good! It's good. You guys just assume that things I watch are bad, but actually everything that I watch is good. Everything I watch is pretty good. You know why? Because I have taste. And I'm not afraid to admit when I watch something that I know is 100% forgettable, like 4 hours of my life garbage that doesn't do anything. I am an anime critic. Alright? I could have a pretentious YouTube channel on this subject. I have that much information. I could do it. I could do it. I would not watch Blue Box with other people. I prefer to watch drama anime alone. I prefer to watch that stuff alone. Comedy stuff I like watching with buds. But more story-focused, drama-centric stuff, that's a personal investment for a nice, good story. If a friend watches it and goes, that's good, then that's good. But I don't gotta watch it with them. They gotta trust me. Don't do it. Pikachu, no! Oh, what a kill shot! Holy shit, the talent! Piss sewers complete. Disappointed if I was ever to watch it, be disappointed because you blow out of proportion how good it is. I definitely don't, but it is good. Why do you automatically assume that it's going to be dog shit because I say that it's good? That's stupid. That's just you wanting to be upset at it. That's you watching it and just deciding, I'm going to hate this no matter what. At that point, that's your own fucking fault. I wouldn't even have to say a single word and you'd still feel that way. If you want to hate, go ahead. Hate. But that's nonsense. I'll dislike it on principle because you made it sound so good. You even fucking believe that? Oh my god! What a lovely choice of track. This is very good and very short. Slam dunk. Why is there no Blue Box 2? There is. It's just not out yet. Second season is soon. When? I don't know actually. I think it's this I think it starts this summer. Or maybe it's next fall. Oh, I don't know. But there is gonna be a second one. Manga's pretty old. Woo. Woo. The classic drag. I hate this. I'm gonna watch it and hate. So that I'll come back and I'll tell the streamer how bad the thing he likes is. Because he likes it. And I don't want it to be good. Like, alright, that's fine. Then don't watch it. Go watch it. But if you're watching it specifically so you can come back and be like, streamer, I watched it, it's not good. Well then, why would I want to continue talking to you about it? At that point, you've made your point clear. You don't like it. You watched it, you don't like it. Okay. You no longer have to engage in conversation about it. But you think I'm gonna jump into his defense? I don't give a fuck. It'd be nice if people watched and liked it because I think it's good. But developing an opposite viewpoint just for the sake of being opposing what I'm saying is pointless. I don't want to send a... No! Invalid read. Ignore this. No, don't send to that. I don't care. Alright. We did it, chat. What did we do? We played Mario Kart. What does that mean? Nothing much, really. It just means we played Mario Kart. So, there's now 20 courses left. There's 20 courses left, which means next time I play, we'll do 10. And after that, we'll do 10 more. And then we will be finished Mario Kart. And we can, not right away, but we'll be set up to do some Ridge Racer 64. I mean Ring Racer. No 64. But yeah, we're almost done Mario Kart. Blurp.